It's time. Not tomorrow, not next week, not someday when the conditions are perfect, when you've got more money, when the right people finally show up in your life. It's time right now, because every second you wait, every excuse you cling to, every hesitation you entertain is stealing from the life you were meant to live. You've been carrying the idea, the dream, the vision inside you. You've whispered it to yourself late at night. You felt it burning when no one else was watching. But you kept waiting for the right break, waiting for the fear to go away, waiting for someone to give you permission. Let me be clear. No one is coming to hand you the life you desire. No one is coming to push you into your destiny. No one is coming to make it easier. It's on you. And that's the greatest gift you've ever been given. It's time to stop negotiating with your limitations. It's time to stop arguing for your excuses. You've been telling yourself the same story for years. I can't because I don't have the resources. I can't because I don't have the connections. I can't because I'm not ready. But you are ready. You've always been ready. The only thing that's been standing between you and the life you crave is the belief that you're not enough. And the second you decide to drop that lie, the second you decide to stop waiting and start moving, you unleash a force that is unstoppable. It's time to rise above the fear, rise above the doubts, rise above the opinions of people who don't understand your vision. It's time to take control of the only thing you've ever had control over, your decisions. You don't get to decide the cards you were dealt, but you damn sure get to decide how you play them. It's time to demand more from yourself, not because life is unfair, not because you've been wronged, but because deep inside you know you were created for more. There is a power inside you that has been asleep, waiting to be awakened, and the alarm clock is going off right now. This is your wake-up call. It's time to stop living at the level of good enough. Good enough isn't good enough. You weren't put here to be average, to play it safe, to blend in. You were put here to make a dent, to make an impact, to live fully alive. And the truth is, if you don't step into it now, when will you? If not now, when? If not you, then who? It's time to shift from hoping to deciding, from wishing to doing, from someday to today. Because you don't need more time. You need more courage. You don't need more resources. You need more resourcefulness. You don't need guarantees. You need guts. It's time. It's time to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating it. How many times have you told yourself that you'll start when things calm down, when the timing feels right, when all the pieces fall into place? How many opportunities have passed you by because you were waiting for life to hand you the exact conditions you thought you needed? The truth is, there is no perfect moment. The perfect moment doesn't exist outside of the one you decide to create. Life is messy, unpredictable, and filled with obstacles. And if you're waiting for a smooth path, you'll be waiting forever. The people who change their lives, who create impact, who build something extraordinary aren't the ones who had everything lined up perfectly. They're the ones who decided that no matter what the circumstances looked like, no matter what was missing, no matter what the odds, they were going to start anyway. Think about it. Every single breakthrough in your life didn't come because everything was easy. It came because you chose to push through the discomfort, to step forward even though you weren't ready. You weren't born ready. You became ready by taking action. That business you've been thinking about, that skill you want to learn, that dream you keep putting off. None of them are waiting for perfect conditions. They're waiting for you to finally stop delaying and start building. Waiting is the slowest form of death. Every day you hesitate, a little bit of your potential dies off, a little bit of your fire dims, and you start convincing yourself that maybe it wasn't meant for you. But deep down, you know it is meant for you. The only thing missing is your willingness to stop waiting and start moving. Perfection is an illusion. You tell yourself you need more money, more support, more knowledge, more confidence before you can begin. But all of those things are built along the journey, not before it starts. You don't become confident by waiting. You become confident by stepping into the arena and proving to yourself that you can handle the punches. You don't gain clarity by standing still. You gain clarity by moving forward and adjusting as you go. Action creates clarity, motion creates momentum, and momentum creates results. And those results fuel your belief that you can keep going. But none of it starts without the first step. The perfect moment is a story you've been telling yourself so you don't have to face the discomfort of starting. It's easier to say, I'll do it when I'm ready, than to admit, I'm scared to start. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of it. Every person you admire, every leader, every innovator, every creator you look up to had moments where they were scared out of their minds, but they acted anyway. They weren't waiting for perfection. They were building it with their own hands. And you can do the same. Imagine where your life could be a year from now if you stopped waiting, if you took that first step today. Imagine the growth, the progress, the victories, the lessons, the strength you would develop. A year of action could change everything, but a year of waiting leaves you exactly where you are right now, only with more regret and less belief in yourself. The pain of regret is far heavier than the pain of discipline. One steals your spirit, the other builds it. And the choice is always yours. There will always be obstacles. There will always be reasons to delay. There will always be uncertainty. But the ones who thrive are the ones who act in spite of it. The storm is never going to clear for you. You've got to learn to dance in the rain. Stop waiting for life to hand you peace before you take action. Create peace through your action. Stop waiting for the right people to show up. Become the person that attracts them. Stop waiting for the opportunity to come to your door. Build the door yourself. You already know what you want. You already know what's inside of you. The vision is there. The desire is there. The fire is there. What's missing is the decision. The decision to step forward today, not someday. The decision to create the moment instead of waiting for it. That decision is the turning point of every great story. And it's available to you right now. It's time to break free from excuses and own your decisions. Excuses are the chains that keep you locked in the same place year after year, convincing you that where you are is where you must stay. They come dressed as logic. They sound reasonable. They sound convincing, but they are nothing more than lies that protect you from facing the truth that you are capable of more. Every time you say, I can't, because what you are really saying is, I won't, because you hide behind circumstances, behind your past, behind people who doubted you, behind a lack of resources. But deep down, you know the real enemy is not out there. It's in here, in your mind, in the stories you've been telling yourself. You tell yourself you don't have the time, but the truth is time is something you create, not something you wait to find. You tell yourself you don't have the money, but the truth is money has been made by people who started with nothing but grit and relentless drive. You tell yourself you don't have the connections, but the truth is connections are built when you put yourself out there, when you add value, when you refuse to stay invisible. Excuses rob you of your power by making you believe the control is outside of you, when in reality it has always been within you. Owning your decisions is the most liberating act you can take. The moment you stop pointing fingers at your circumstances, at your parents, at your boss, at the economy, and you say, this is on me, you reclaim your power. It's not about blaming yourself. It's about empowering yourself. Because as long as you believe it's someone else's fault, you've handed them the keys to your future. But when you say, I decide, I choose, I act, suddenly the chains break and you're free to create a different outcome. Excuses feel comfortable because they absolve you of responsibility. If it's the economy's fault, you don't have to do anything. If it's your boss's fault, you don't have to grow. If it's your past's fault, you don't have to change. But comfort is the enemy of growth, and excuses are nothing more than padded walls in the prison you've built for yourself. You were not designed to play small, to stay safe, to make excuses. You were designed to rise, to stretch, to fight, to build, to expand. And none of that happens until you own the truth that every decision you make is shaping the life you are living. Think about the people who inspire you, the ones who built something from nothing, the ones who defied the odds, the ones who created a legacy. Do you think their path was clear and smooth? Do you think they didn't have 1,000 excuses available to them? Of course they did. But the difference was they didn't buy into those excuses. They chose ownership. They chose to say, it doesn't matter what I don't have. It matters what I decide to do with what I do have. And that decision makes all the difference. Every decision you make compounds. When you choose to act instead of excuse, you build strength. When you choose to show up instead of hide, you build resilience. When you choose to take responsibility instead of blame, you build character. And character is what carries you when things get hard, when the pressure is high, when the temptation to quit whispers in your ear. Excuses will always be there, waiting to seduce you back into mediocrity. But so will the power of decision, waiting for you to claim it. You don't need anyone to believe in you more than you need to believe in yourself. You don't need the world to hand you a guarantee before you take action. You don't need permission to start. The moment you decide that your future is your responsibility, you become unstoppable. Because once you own it, no one can take it from you. Once you own it, no setback can break you. Once you own it, no excuse can hold you. There will always be voices that tell you it's not the right time, you're not good enough, you don't have what it takes. And maybe those voices will come from people around you, or maybe they will echo inside your own head, but you don't have to let them dictate your path. You can choose the stronger voice, the voice that says, I own my choices, I own my actions, I own my results. And when you live from that place, everything changes. Stop asking for easy. Stop praying for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for someone to rescue you. Own it all, the setbacks, the failures, the wins, the lessons. Own the mistakes not as proof that you're weak, but as proof that you're still in the game. Own the decisions that didn't go the way you wanted, because those decisions gave you wisdom, and wisdom is priceless. Own the future you want, because no one else can own it for you. The power to break free from excuses is not found in some magical external force. It's found in the decision you make today. The decision to stop hiding behind reasons, to stop pointing outside of yourself, to stop living in the shadows of someday. The decision to rise and take full control of the one thing no one can ever take from you, your choices. It's time to rise above fear, doubt, and other people's opinions. Fear is the oldest prison humanity has ever known, and most people spend their entire lives living inside its walls. Doubt is the silent killer of dreams, sneaking into your thoughts in the middle of the night, making you question your worth, your potential, your ability to do what you know deep down you are capable of doing. And the opinions of others can weigh heavier than chains, because when you live for approval, you die by rejection. If you are going to live the life you were meant to live, if you are going to step into the level of power and purpose that has been waiting inside of you, you must rise above all three. Fear will never go away. That's the first truth you need to accept. Too many people are waiting for fear to vanish before they move forward, but fear doesn't disappear. It transforms. Fear is energy. Fear is a sign you are stepping into territory that matters. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to act while fear is screaming at you not to. When you rise above fear, you don't eliminate it, you master it. You decide that the pain of regret is far worse than the discomfort of action. You decide that living small is more terrifying than risking failure. You decide that the voice inside of you calling for growth is stronger than the voice trying to keep you safe. Fear will always be there, but so will your power to rise above it. Doubt is the enemy within. Unlike fear, which is loud and sharp, doubt is quiet and subtle. It whispers. It plants seeds that grow roots deep into your confidence. It makes you hesitate when you should move, second guess when you should trust yourself, and shrink back when you should step forward. Rising above doubt isn't about never questioning yourself. It's about refusing to stay stuck in the question. It's about choosing belief in the face of uncertainty. It's about reminding yourself that you don't need all the answers to take the next step. Doubt feeds on inaction, but when you take action despite doubt, it starves. Every time you act in the face of doubt, you build evidence for yourself. You prove that you can handle more than you thought. You prove that you're capable of navigating the unknown. You prove that the voice of belief deserves to be louder than the voice of doubt. And then there are the opinions of others. The truth is, everyone has an opinion, but not everyone's opinion deserves a place in your life. Most people are not living the life they want, and yet they will eagerly tell you how to live yours. They will tell you to play safe, to stay comfortable, to be realistic. They will project their fears, their failures, their limitations onto you. And if you let them, you will carry their weight in addition to your own. Rising above opinions doesn't mean ignoring everyone. It means choosing carefully whose voices you allow to influence you. If someone has not built what you want to build, if someone has not walked the path you are walking, if someone is not living at the level you aspire to, why should their opinion matter? Surround yourself with people who expand you, not shrink you. Listen to the voices that challenge you to grow, not the ones that convince you to settle. You cannot rise if you are chained by fear, if you are crippled by doubt, if you are suffocated by opinions. But here is the truth. You were not built to stay down. You were built to rise. Inside you, there is a fire that has been dimmed by years of conditioning, by the weight of expectations, by the noise of the world, but it has never gone out. And the moment you decide that you are done living under fear, done listening to doubt, done seeking validation, that fire explodes into a force that can move mountains. Think of the moments in history where individuals changed everything. They were not free of fear. They were not immune to doubt, and they were not applauded by everyone around them. But they rose anyway. They rose above ridicule, above rejection, above resistance, and because they did, the world shifted. You may not be standing on a stage in front of thousands. You may not be leading a revolution, but your life is no less significant. Your rise may not change the entire world, but it will change your world, and that's where transformation begins. Rising above fear is about making fear your compass instead of your cage. When something scares you, it's usually a sign that it matters. When something makes your heart race, it's often the very thing you should be pursuing. Instead of running from it, run into it. Doubt will try to block your path, but you must keep moving, because movement is the antidote to doubt. And when opinions come flying at you, some in the form of criticism, some in the form of mockery, some even in the form of false concern, remember that the loudest boos usually come from the cheapest seats. The people who are doing less than you will always have the most to say about what you're doing. Your rise is not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about showing yourself that you are more than the stories you've been told, more than the limits you've accepted, more than the fears you've let control you. It's about stepping into the full measure of your potential, knowing that you will stumble, knowing that you will face setbacks, but choosing to keep rising anyway. Because the alternative is to stay down, and that is not what you were made for. It's time to demand more from yourself and refuse to settle for average. Average is the comfort zone that lulls you into believing you are doing enough when deep inside you know you are capable of far more. Average is the compromise you make with your potential, the negotiation you enter with your excuses, the standard society sets for you when you stop setting your own. You weren't created to be average. You weren't designed to blend into the background. You weren't meant to live a life of mediocrity. So many people accept it because it feels safe, it feels familiar, it feels easy. But safe and easy have never built greatness. They have never created breakthroughs. They have never forged legacies. The people who rise, the people who transform their lives, the people who leave their mark on this world are the ones who look at average and say, not for me. Demanding more from yourself isn't about perfection. It's about refusing to live below your own capacity. It's about setting a standard so high that it forces you to stretch, to grow, to expand beyond what you thought was possible. It's about holding yourself accountable, not just for what you do, but for what you're capable of doing. You already know what average feels like. You've lived it. You've seen it. You've tasted it. And you also know that it leaves you empty. It leaves you restless. It leaves you searching. It leaves you unsatisfied because you were never built to thrive in average. When you demand more from yourself, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop saying good enough when you know you could do better. You stop showing up halfway when the situation calls for all of you. You stop allowing laziness, procrastination, and fear to rob you of your greatness. You start raising the bar, not just once, but every time you reach it, because the game isn't about beating others. The game is about outgrowing yourself. The only competitor that matters is the version of you that you were yesterday. When you demand more, you set your sights on being stronger, sharper, braver, more disciplined, more relentless than you were before. Refusing to settle for average means you stop living by default and start living by design. Average is reactive. It waits to see what life hands you. Excellence is proactive. It goes out and builds the life it desires. Average looks for shortcuts. Excellence looks for mastery. Average seeks approval. Excellence seeks progress. Average asks, what's the least I can do to get by? Excellence asks, what's the most I can give to grow? When you live in average, you coast. When you live in excellence, you rise. Think about it. Every time you've demanded more from yourself, even in small ways, you felt alive. The workout where you pushed one more rep than you thought you could. The project where you poured in more energy and creativity than anyone expected. The conversation where you showed more courage than you thought you had. Those are the moments where you felt the power of your true self. That's what happens when you refuse average. You tap into a version of yourself that has been waiting, begging, screaming to be unleashed. But it's not just about what you gain. When you settle for average, you don't just cheat yourself, you cheat the people around you. Your family, your community, your team, your friends, they don't get the fullest version of you. They get the watered down, half asleep, playing small version. And the world doesn't need more of that. The world needs you at your best. You're most alive. You're most passionate. You're most powerful. When you demand more from yourself, you give others permission to do the same. You become the example, the standard, the spark that ignites change in others. Average whispers that it's okay to coast, that it's okay to settle, that it's okay to wait for someday. Excellence roars that you are here now, that you have more to give, that you have more to become. Average tells you to play it safe. Excellence dares you to take risks. Average locks you in comfort. Excellence breaks you free into growth. Which voice are you going to listen to? It will be uncomfortable. Demanding more will stretch you. It will force you to face your weaknesses, your distractions, your excuses. It will expose the areas where you've been slacking, the places where you've let yourself off the hook. But it will also reveal your strength, your resilience, your grit, your fire. Growth never happens in comfort. Power never comes from playing small. Transformation never comes from settling. If you want more, you have to become more. And becoming more requires that you demand it, not just once, but every single day. This is not about comparing yourself to anyone else. This is about living at the standard you know in your heart you are capable of. Deep down, you already know when you're giving less than you could. You already know when you're settling. You already know when you're hiding behind excuses. And you also know the rush, the thrill, the power that comes when you demand more, when you push beyond what you thought possible, when you refuse to stop at average. That feeling is proof that you are on the right path. That feeling is proof that you were made for more. It's time to shift from wishing to doing, from someday to today. Wishing is the habit that keeps your dreams stuck in the realm of fantasy, a safe place where you can imagine what life could be without ever facing the discomfort of making it real. You sit there and wish for change, wish for opportunity, wish for success, but wishing has never built a future. Wishing keeps you passive, hoping that circumstances will align, waiting for the stars to fall into the right position, praying that somehow your life will turn around without you having to make the turn yourself. Doing is different. Doing is messy, uncomfortable, and often uncertain, but it is the only path that transforms a vision into reality. Someday is a thief. It robs you of the urgency and focus that today requires. When you say someday, what you really mean is never, because someday is not on the calendar. Today is. Think about how many dreams have been buried under the word someday. Someday I'll start the business. Someday I'll write the book. Someday I'll get healthy. Someday I'll take the risk. And yet the calendar keeps flipping. The weeks turn into months, the months into years, and someday never shows up. The brutal truth is that time doesn't wait for you. You don't get to hit pause until you feel ready. Life keeps moving, and the more you keep postponing action, the more you're training yourself to settle. Wishing without action becomes a habit, and habits become identity. Before long, you start seeing yourself not as someone who does, but as someone who only dreams. Shifting from wishing to doing requires a decision, a line in the sand where you say enough. Enough of waiting, enough of delaying, enough of making excuses. You decide that your vision is worth more than your comfort, that your future is worth more than your fear, that your calling is worth more than your hesitation. Doing doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It means you're willing to take the first step even while the path is still blurry. Clarity comes through action. Momentum comes through motion. Progress comes through discipline. The people who succeed are not the ones who had the most resources or the perfect conditions. They are the ones who refuse to stay stuck in wishing. Someday is an illusion. It gives you the illusion of hope while keeping you stuck in the same place. You comfort yourself by believing you'll get to it later, but later never comes. Doing is the opposite of illusion. It is reality. It forces you to confront the truth of your effort, your discipline, your choices. Wishing lets you hide. Doing makes you visible. Wishing keeps you safe. Doing exposes you to risk. But risk is where growth lives. Risk is where transformation happens. Risk is the bridge between the life you have and the life you want. Every great story you've ever admired, every achievement that inspired you, every person who broke through didn't do it by wishing. They did it by acting, failing, learning, adjusting, and acting again. They didn't wait for the right moment. They created it. They didn't wait for the guarantee. They moved without one. They didn't wait for perfect resources. They used what they had and trusted they would figure out the rest along the way. And you can too, but only if you decide that wishing is no longer enough. Doing doesn't require giant leaps all at once. It requires consistent action. Small steps compound into massive change. The book gets written one page at a time. The business grows one decision at a time. The body transforms one workout at a time. The life you want doesn't demand everything at once. It demands that you start and that you keep going. Consistency beats intensity when intensity never shows up. You don't have to do it all today, but you do have to start today. The shift from someday to today is also a shift in identity. It's not just about what you do. It's about who you decide to be. You stop identifying as a dreamer who hopes and start identifying as a doer who acts. You stop telling yourself stories about what you'll do in the future and start living stories you can tell in the present. You stop feeding the habit of delay and start building the habit of execution. Every action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming, and the more you act today, the more you reinforce the identity of someone who makes things happen instead of waiting for them to happen. Wishing feels good in the moment because it allows you to escape reality. Doing feels uncomfortable in the moment because it forces you to face reality. But the temporary discomfort of doing creates long-term fulfillment, while the temporary comfort of wishing creates long-term regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. One gives you pride. The other drains your spirit. You get to choose which weight you carry. Today is all you have. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is not promised. And someday is a lie. Today is the only day you can act, the only day you can change, the only day you can decide. When you keep saying someday, you're wasting the only currency that truly matters, time. And time is the one resource you can never get back. You can lose money and make it again. You can lose relationships and build new ones. You can lose confidence and rebuild it. But when you lose time, it is gone forever. That's why wishing is so dangerous. It tricks you into throwing away the most precious thing you own. The power is always in today. The choice is always in today. The results are built from what you do today, and the life you want is waiting for you to stop wishing for it, stop postponing it, stop delaying it, and start creating it.